The city never slept anymore. Its streets glowed with neon signs that pulsed like veins of light, each one whispering the same promise: buy time. Live longer. Elias stood before the glowing window of a chronobank. Inside, people traded their savings for seconds, their fortunes for years. He watched a man walk out with trembling hands and fresh, unwrinkled skin. The air smelled like ozone and antiseptic. Time was currency now, and Elias was broke that he pressed his forehead to the glass, staring at the swirling hourglasses behind the counter. Each shimmered with golden dust. Real, physical time, drawn from somewhere no one fully understood. Rumors said it came from other people's lives. He tried to shake the thought away, but it stayed like a splinter in his mind. Inside, a woman laughed. She looked young, too young for the diamond-tipped cane she leaned on. Her eyes caught his through the glass, cold, pale, like she had seen centuries pass. She gestured to him. Come in. Her lips shaped silently. Elias hesitated, but the ache in his chest, the ticking in his head, pushed him forward. The doors opened with a hiss. The air was colder inside, heavy with the hum of machines. Behind the counter stood an attendant dressed in white. His smile was perfect. Synthetic. Welcome to Chronobank. How much time would you like to purchase? Elias swallowed. How much for an hour? The attendant tapped a sleek screen. 2,000 credits. Elias looked down at his wristband balance. He had 142. The attendant tilted his head, still smiling. You may also sell. Elias froze. Sell time? Yes, the attendant said softly. From your own lifespan. Exchange a few years now. Live comfortably today. The hum of the machines grew louder, almost rhythmic, like the sound of a heartbeat being counted down. Elias felt his pulse quicken. He thought about his rent, his debts, his mother's medicine. 1 year would solve everything. He nodded slowly. I'll sell 1 year. The attendant smiled wider. The glass capsule descended from the ceiling, glowing faintly blue. Please step inside. Elias obeyed. The capsule sealed with a hiss. The walls filled with golden mist. His skin tingled. His vision blurred. He felt lighter. The attendant's voice echoed through the intercom. Thank you for your transaction. Your remaining time has been adjusted. But something was wrong. The mist turned dark. The lights flickered. A sharp pain shot through Elias's spine. He gasped. The glass vibrated. Outside, the smiling attendant was gone. In his place stood the old woman. No, not old anymore. Young. Radiant. The wrinkles gone. She smiled at him through the glass. Her eyes glowed gold. Thank you, she whispered. And in that instant, Elias understood he had not sold time. He had given it to her. The capsule lights dimmed. His heartbeat slowed one by one. The glowing hourglasses in the vault flickered out. And then, darkness that Elias's breath rattled in his throat like a broken clock. The golden mist was gone. Only a faint pulse of red light flickered inside the capsule. He tried to move his hands. They felt heavy, older. Through the fog glass, he saw the young woman walk away. Each of her steps echoed like the ticking of a giant clock. Tick, tick, tick. He pressed his palms against the glass. That IT was cold. Unmoving. Let me out, he whispered, but his voice cracked into silence. Then the intercom clicked again. That a different voice spoke this time. Lower, mechanical, almost human, but not quite. Transaction completed. Remaining life, 32 years, adjusted for market variance. Market variance? What did that mean? The capsule opened with a sharp hiss, and he stumbled out, gasping. His reflection in the polished floor caught his IT froze. His hair had streaks of gray, his hands lined and frail, his face older. So much older he had sold 1 year. But decades had drained away. He spun toward the counter. The attendant was gone. In his place stood a shimmering hologram of the same smiling man. Thank you for your donation, it said. Your contribution sustains the chrono economy. Elias staggered backward. Donation? I paid. You said 1 year. The hologram flickered. Time markets fluctuate. Value is determined by collective demand. Supply is extracted. He looked toward the glowing vault. Rows of hourglasses pulsed faintly in the dark, each one containing swirling golden dust. Some were small, others massive, brimming with entire lifetimes. And on the far wall, A mirror stretched from floor to ceiling. Names shimmered across it. Thousands he saw his Elias Marin, remaining balance. 00:00:32:1930-2 minutes point 19 seconds. He froze that a sound came from behind him. Footsteps, soft, precise. The young woman, now radiant, almost glowing, approached with the cane she no longer needed. "Do you understand now?" she asked softly. Her voice was calm, melodic, like someone who had lived too long. Elias's pulse thundered in his ears. "You stole my time." She smiled. "No, you sold it. You just did not read the terms." He backed away, his heart pounding. "What are you?" She tilted her head. "An investor." Her shadow stretched across the glowing vault, long and sharp like a blade. "I buy what others waste," she said, "and they fade quietly." He tried to run, but his legs buckled. Every second felt heavier. The air itself seemed to thicken, resisting him. The hologram's voice echoed again. Remaining time, 28 minutes. Elias fell to his knees. The vault lights pulsed faster. Heartbeat rhythm. Gold dust began to rise from the floor, swirling toward the woman. She inhaled deeply, eyes closing. "Do not fight it," she whispered. "It hurts less if you accept it." The red glow in the chamber deepened. Every breath Elias took sounded louder, sharper, shorter till he reached toward the nearest hourglass. Its surface felt alive, warm, almost pleading. Inside, he saw faces, hundreds, thousands, each screaming soundlessly as their sand drained away. His reflection in the glass looked back at him, wrinkled, hollow-eyed, but behind that reflection, something moved. A figure. Watching him from the dark corner of the vault, its eyes burned bright gold. And then, the vault lights. Flickered once, then silence. Only the faint hum of the chrono bank machines filled the air, like a whispering heartbeat. Elias stared at the shadowed figure in the corner. It stood motionless, tall, wrapped in a long coat that seemed to swallow the light. Those golden eyes burned through the darkness. Not bright, not dim, just awake. Elias tried to speak, but his throat was dry as dust. Who are you?" he managed. The figure stepped forward. Its boots made no sound. The air around it shimmered, bending, slightly, like heat above asphalt. "I am what remains," the figure said. Its voice was both distant and close, echoing inside Elias's skull. The woman, the radiant one, froze, her smile faltered. "You," she whispered, her voice suddenly trembling. "You should not be here." The figure's head tilted slightly. "Neither should you, Talia." Elias blinked. "Talia?" The woman turned sharply. "Be quiet." But it was too late. The name seemed to vibrate through the vault, awakening something in the walls. Hourglasses rattled. The golden dust inside began to swirl faster. The figure took another step forward. Each movement felt like a clock hand turning, marking the end of something unseen. Elias clutched his chest. Every beat hurt. His veins burned cold. "Who? What are you?" he whispered again. The figure stopped beside him, up close. Its face was not human. It was made of shifting glass and light. The reflections of countless people's faces flickering across its surface. "I am time," it said quietly. "The part they forgot cannot be sold." Talia's eyes widened. "No," she hissed. "You cannot take him." He signed the exchange. Time turned to her, golden eyes narrowing. "You have taken what is not yours. You have fed on others' hours for centuries." The vault trembled, glass cracked, sands poured from the hourglasses, falling like rain. Elias crawled backward, shielding his face. The golden dust burned against his skin, searing cold and hot all at once. Time raised a hand. Every broken hourglass froze midair. The dust hung, weightless. "You build a world of buyers and sellers," Time said softly. "But time is not a commodity. It is a promise." Talia screamed, her voice splitting into echoes. Her glow dimmed, then flared, then shattered. Her youth peeled away in a shimmer of light, revealing an ancient, withered face underneath. Her eyes turned black, hollow. Elias watched, trembling, as her body began to collapse into sand. She reached for him. "Please, help me." He pulled away. Her hand crumbled to dust before it touched him. Silence followed. The air grew still again. Time turned toward Elias. Its form flickered, the shifting faces pausing. Some weeping, some smiling. "You still have 21 minutes, it said. "What will you do with them?" Elias looked around. The shattered vault, the fading lights, the endless glittering dust floating like dying stars. He swallowed hard. What can I do?" Time stepped closer, its voice softened. "You can take it back. But every choice has a cost." The air thickened. The hourglasses began to spin, glowing brighter, faster. Elias hesitated. The countdown pulsed faintly on his wristband. 00:00:21:0, 320-1 minutes left. He raised his hand toward the swirling sand, feeling it pulse with warmth, with life. Then the figure leaned closer, whispering words that made his heart stop. "Would you spend your last 20 minutes to rewind everything? Even if it means erasing yourself?" The golden storm flared, and then the vault pulsed with light. Each flicker made the air ripple, bending reality like glass under pressure. Elias could barely breathe. The question hung in his mind, heavy as stone. Would you spend your last 20 minutes to rewind everything? Even if it means erasing yourself? He looked up at the figure, Time, whose shifting face reflected every possible version of him. Younger, older, smiling, crying, alive, dead. The silence pressed in, thick and electric. Elias clenched his fists. His pulse echoed in his ears like a drumbeat counting down the seconds. He whispered, "If I rewind it, will everyone live again?" Time tilted its head. They will return to their rightful hours. The stolen lives will flow back. Elias swallowed. And me? The golden eyes flickered. "You will cease. Your thread will dissolve with the knot that bound it." The countdown glowed on his wrist. 00:00:19:44 19 minutes, 44 seconds. He thought of his mother, coughing in a dim apartment. He thought of the old man begging outside the Chronobank door. He thought of the smiling customers trading eternity for vanity. And the woman, Talia, now reduced to dust, once feeding on the lives of others. He exhaled slowly. Then it has to end. The figure's light brightened, golden dust swirling around them both. Time extended its hand. Then take hold. And release. Elias hesitated only a heartbeat. Then he grasped it. Instantly, everything inverted. The world folded in on itself, collapsing like paper burned from the edges. The vault shattered into a storm of gold and black. Elias felt his body tear apart. Not in pain, but in fragments of memory. He saw faces, thousands of them. People waking in their homes, children laughing, clocks resetting. The streets of the city losing their neon glow as the Chronobanks vanished into smoke. Time flowed backward like a tidal wave. The golden dust turned to light, sweeping across the world. Elias' skin faded. His heartbeat slowed. The numbers on his wrist flashed faster and faster. 00:00:0, 3:02. The figure's voice echoed through the storm. "Do not fear the end. You're not lost. You are returned." Elias smiled weakly. For the first time, he felt weightless, free. His last thought was a whisper. Maybe time was never meant to be owned. The numbers hit zeroed. The light burst outward, silent and infinite. A quiet dawn. The city was different now. No glowing banks and price tags on seconds. Just the slow, natural rhythm of the world breathing again. A street vendor wiped his cart, glancing up as the sun rose. He had never heard of Chronobank, and no one had. But somewhere, in a place beyond the clocks, a faint golden shimmer drifted through the air, like a memory of someone who had traded everything to give the world back its time. And for a brief moment, the morning breeze carried a whisper, "Use it well." Years passed. The world moved on, unaware that it had ever been bought or sold. The cities grew quieter. People aged naturally again. Clocks ticked the same for everyone. But somewhere beneath layers of dust and concrete, one vault still slept, forgotten, buried deep under what used to be the central Chronobank, sealed behind tons of stone and silence. Until one morning, a sound and a metal clang. Then another. Sparks danced in the dark as a group of diggers broke through the chamber wall. They were workers, expanding the new subway line. None of them knew what they were about to find. The foreman's flashlight cut through the darkness. The beam landed on a massive door. Its surface shimmered faintly, though no light touched it. Strange symbols were carved along its edges, numbers looping endlessly, never repeating. He frowned. "What is this place?" No one answered. The door creaked open on its own. Cold air spilled out, dry and metallic. Inside, rows of glass hourglasses, perfectly preserved. Their golden sand glowed faintly, swirling alive. The workers froze. One of them, a young woman, stepped closer. Her breath misted in the air. She reached out, touching the nearest hourglass. Instantly, the sand pulsed. Her wristband, her digital watch, glitched. Numbers spun wildly across the screen. The others shouted, "Step back!" But it was too late. The glass cracked. Lights spilled out, soft, golden, whispering. The whisper filled the chamber, like a voice carried from nowhere, a voice older than the sun. Time cannot be buried. The workers stumbled back. The air shimmered. Their shadows stretched unnaturally long across the walls. The woman stared at the broken hourglass in her hands. Inside the glass, something flickered at a reflection. Not hers, at a man's face. Familiar, calm. Elias, he smiled faintly, and his voice, barely a whisper, echoed through the vault. "Use it well." The light dimmed. The hourglass resealed itself. The sand settled. But on the woman's wrist, her watch had stopped. Exactly at 00:00:00:00. She looked up, trembling. The vault was silent again. Yet in the stillness, she could swear she heard faint ticking. Slow, steady, almost like a heartbeat. And then from the far wall, a faint glow began to rise. Another door, another vault. And across it, carved in gleaming gold, Chrono Bank, reopening soon. The air shifted, the lights flickered, and somewhere, deep beneath the earth, something began to wake again. The air in the chamber trembled. The glow from the second vault door pulsed, soft at first, then brighter, like a heartbeat struggling to restart. The diggers stumbled back, shielding their faces from the light. Their tools clattered to the ground. The young woman, her hands still trembling from the hourglass's touch, could not look away. The letters on the door shifted. Chrono Bank, reopening. Soon became something new. Chrono Bank, access restored. A deep hum filled the room, vibrating through the stone, through their bones. The ground cracked beneath their feet. The foreman shouted, "Everyone out, now!" But the door was already opening, slowly, deliberately, with the sound of 1,000 ticking clocks syncing in unison. From within the vault came a wave of golden dust, warm, luminous, almost alive. It flowed around them like a living fog, touching their skin, seeping into their breath. The young woman gasped. Visions filled her mind, cities of light, people trading lifetimes like currency to a man's face, fading into brilliance. "Elias," she heard his voice, faint but clear. "You opened it too soon." Then the vision shattered. The dust shot upward, spiraling toward the ceiling. The chamber lights flickered violently. The youngest of the workers, a boy barely 20, reached toward the glow. "Do you see that? It's beautiful." He never finished. The light wrapped around his hand, spreading up his arm. His skin shimmered, then aged in seconds. Wrinkles formed, deepened. His hair turned gray, then white. He screamed, collapsing as the glow left his body and poured into the hourglasses lining the wall. The others ran. The young woman hesitated, eyes wide with terror and awe. The vault spoke again, but a voice, not human, not machine, cold, steady, timeless. Chrono exchange restored. The walls came alive. Numbers and symbols scrolled across them like living code. Rebalancing global time supply. Initializing markets. Searching for administrator, Elias Marin. Her breath caught. The air felt heavy. The name repeated, echoing deeper and deeper into the stone. Administrator not found. Reconstructing from temporal imprint. The golden fog condensed into a single point. a glowing shape that a silhouette it was forming a body to a human body. Elias, but not as he was. His eyes glowed like the vault lights, his voice layered, metallic and human all at once. He stepped forward, barefoot, his skin flickering between ages. Young, old, ageless. "Who called me back?" he asked quietly. The young woman stepped forward, trembling. I just touched the glass. I did not mean to." Elias looked at her with something like sorrow. "You never mean to open time. But once it opens, it does not close." The walls pulsed. The air thickened with whispers. All around them, the hourglasses began to fill again. Golden dust flowing upward, reforming, multiplying. The system's voice returned. Chrono economy reboot successful. Time for sale, unlimited. Elias closed his eyes, his voice almost breaking. "No, not again." He turned to her. "You have to help me shut it down before it starts feeding." The ground shook. The lights turned red. Above them, through the cracks in the tunnel ceiling, faint golden dust began to rise, escaping toward the surface, spreading. The woman's voice trembled. "What happens if we fail?" Elias looked at the glowing storm above, the city waiting above them, that he whispered, "Then the world will start buying time again." And somewhere far above, a screen flickered to life on a forgotten billboard. It glowed bright, white. A voice whispered through every speaker, every phone, every watch. "Chrono Bank is back. Time is money." And the countdown began again. The city glowed once more, but this time the light was wrong. That it flickered. Too fast, too alive. Golden dust drifted through the air, invisible to most eyes, but Elias could feel it was the same hum, the same pulse he had died to destroy, and it was returning. The screens across every street corner lit up in unison. Chrono Bank global launch. Own your future. Crowds gathered, curious. Some smiled. Some held their wrists up as countdowns appeared automatically. Balances they never set. The trade had already begun. Elias and the young woman emerged from the underground ruins, covered in dust and light. He looked at the sky, where faint streaks of gold swirled like veins through the clouds. "It is feeding again," he said softly. "They're giving away their time without knowing." The woman shook her head, panic in her eyes. "Can we stop it?" Elias closed his eyes. He felt the hum of every ticking clock, every breath, every borrowed second. There is one way. He reached into his coat, fabric woven from light itself, and pulled out a single hourglass. Its sand shimmered silver, not gold. The last remnant of his own timeline. He placed it in her hands. "This is my core, the seed that keeps Chrono Bank alive. If you break it, everything stops." She stared at him, tears rising. "But what about you?" He smiled faintly. "If time stops feeding, I stop existing." The city roared around them. The skies flickered brighter. Buildings vibrated as energy surged through the streets. "You cannot ask me to do that," she said. Elias looked at her, not as a being of light, not as something eternal, but as a man who remembered what it meant to live naturally, moment by moment. "I am not asking you to end me," he said quietly. "I am asking you to give the world back its heartbeat." A pause. The ticking of the city grew louder, faster. An accelerating countdown, 0.00:00:01:00. She raised the hourglass. Her hand shook. The air split with static as the Chrono Bank's voice echoed across the sky. Global synchronization complete. Time markets open. Elias whispered now. The woman hurled the hourglass onto the ground. It shattered. A wave of silver light exploded outward, tearing through the streets, washing over buildings, screens, hearts, and minds. Every glowing number vanished. Every clock froze, then began again, ticking softly, naturally. The dust in the air dissolved. The hum quieted, and when the light faded, Elias was gone. The young woman stood alone on the silent street. Her watch read only one word: reset. She looked up. The sky was clear. The world was ordinary again. No voices, no offers, no prices. Just the simple sound of life. Rain beginning to fall, distant laughter, a clock tower chiming the hour. She closed her eyes and whispered, "Thank you." As she turned to leave, a faint shimmer followed her. A glimmer of golden dust drifting past her shoulder. T whispered one last time, gentle as wind through leaves. Time is not something you own. It is something you live. And it was gone. Forever.